It watched us all night from the ridge. 1963 Idaho Backcountry Horror.
Posted by u/Backwoods Truth Teller. Subreddit r/NoSleep. Original post date August 2021. A retired forestry worker recounts a chilling night in 1963 during a multi-day hike in the Sawtooth Wilderness. After hearing strange guttural calls echoing through the canyons, he and two friends spotted a massive silhouette standing on the ridge above their camp. Unmoving. Watching. They tried to ignore it until rocks began tumbling into their campsite and returned pale and speechless. The creature never came into the light. It just stood there hour after hour. Encounter in the Blue Ridge. He wasn't alone that night. Posted by u/Appalachian Relics. Subreddit r/Paranormal Encounters. Original post date October 2022. The user shares a story from their grandfather who in 1965 was camping solo in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. After hearing strange chest-thumping sounds near the creek, he was surrounded by deep, deliberate breathing outside his tent. Down, sniffing his pack. He stayed silent, holding his breath until the sun rose. When he emerged, his tent had been circled in massive barefoot prints, and the firewood pile had been torn apart. He said it didn't act like a predator. It acted like something that knew what a tent was. 3. My uncle's 1967 logging camp incident. Something smashed through the trees like it was paper. Posted by u/Northwest Sawyer. Subreddit r/High Strangeness. Original post date May 2023. The user recounts a tale from their uncle who was part of a remote logging crew deep in northern Washington in 1967. One night something screamed from the tree line, then tore through the forest, snapping full-grown trees like twigs. The crew had rifles and chainsaws, but no one dared move. In the morning they found massive drag marks, blood, not human, and a log torn in half, not cut. The foreman packed everyone out early and told them not to talk. They said it sounded like a bear and a man screaming at once, but deeper than either. Too deep to be real. 4. It was waiting for us to fall asleep. 1969 Mount Shasta Encounter. Posted by u/West Coast Nightmare. Subreddit r/Let's Not Meet. Original post date July 2022. A user shares a terrifying family story passed down from their father who at 17 went camping with friends near Mount Shasta in 1969. After building a fire and telling stories, they heard movement in the woods, big deliberate footsteps. Assuming it was a bear, they left food out and got in their tents. At 2:30 a.m. someone, or something, began pulling the stakes from one of the tents, then mimicked the sound of wood cracking, followed by total silence. They bolted to the car. The next morning all the food was gone, but the cooler was smashed open, not opened. No bite marks, no claw marks, just crushed. My dad said it wasn't trying to eat them. It was testing their defenses. 5. They said Bigfoot was a joke until they found the shelter. 1960 Olympic Peninsula. Posted by U/Old Growth Witness. Subreddit r/cryptozoology. Original post date November 2020. A retired Park Service ranger tells a story from when he was 22 doing trail surveys in Olympic National Park. In 1960, he and a partner found what they believed to be a nesting site. Woven branches, bones, and a strong stench like rotting meat and wet fur. The next morning, a 300-pound log had been moved across their trail. His supervisor told him, "Never report this. Say it was a bear. That's what we all do." If it was a bear, it was walking on 2 legs and building things.
Stalked at Shadow Ridge, the true story of a Bigfoot encounter. Date of incident, September 17th, October 21st, 2018. Location, Shadow Ridge, Oregon, bordering Tillamook State Forest. In September of 2018, Elena Marks, a 33-year-old illustrator from Portland, relocated to a small A-frame cabin near the edge of the Tillamook State Forest. After a difficult divorce and years of city noise, she wanted space, quiet, and solitude. The listing she found offered all 3: 5 acres of dense woodland, a cabin in need of love, and absolute seclusion. She jumped on it. She moved in on September 17th. It was quiet, almost too quiet. The first thing she noticed was the absence of sound. No crickets, no owls, no rustling underbrush, just wind through the trees and the creaking of an old home that had sat unoccupied for years. A few days in, things started to feel off. One morning, she found large footprints in the mud behind her shed, barefoot. They were wider and longer than her own foot by several inches, deeply sunken into the earth as if made by something heavy. She dismissed it at first, figuring it might have been an old impression that filled with water, or maybe a distorted animal print. But the following morning, more tracks appeared, this time around the front porch. And on a tree just 15 feet from her bedroom window, there were fresh strips of bark peeled away in long vertical swaths, almost 7 feet off the ground. She assumed it might be a bear. She hoped it was. That hope didn't last. By the second week, she started hearing movement outside at night. Around 2 or 3 in the morning, the forest would come alive, not with typical animal sounds, but with heavy, deliberate footfalls moving through the woods. Sometimes it was slow, like someone creeping. Other times it sounded like a straight walk by. 2 legs, always bipedal, always circling. She tried to ignore it, telling herself it was just deer, or maybe even someone from town playing a prank. But every time she opened the door and stepped onto the porch, the sounds would stop. The woods would go silent again. One night, after hearing the footsteps return, she sat by the back window with the lights off and a flashlight in hand. Around 2:45 a.m. she heard it again, crunching through the dry pine needles. This time it wasn't moving past. It was pacing, circling. She threw open the door and shouted into the dark, "Go away!" The steps stopped. No running, no fleeing, just stillness. She stood there for nearly a minute, flashlight shaking in her hand. Eventually, the sound of movement returned, this time receding into the forest. She knew then it wasn't just passing through, it was watching. Determined to get proof, she set up 2 trail cameras the next day, one near the shed, one behind the cabin. The following morning, one was missing. The other captured just 19 seconds of movement. A large, dark figure at the edge of the frame, mid-stride, half obscured by trees. She couldn't make out details, but the scale was unmistakable. It was huge, upright, and fast. She brought the footage to the local ranger station. One of the rangers looked at the footage, shrugged, and said, "Could be someone in a ghillie suit, or a bear. But if you're living off Dead Man's Edge, I'd keep the lights on at night." The name was new to her. Locals, he explained, had been telling stories about that stretch of forest for decades. Disappearances, strange sightings, howls in the dark, but they were just stories, until now. On October 10th, it escalated. She was woken by Milo, her golden retriever, barking and growling. It wasn't his usual bark, this was full-blown panic. He stood at the front door, teeth bared, his body low. Elena grabbed a flashlight and looked out the front window. There was something by the woodpile, something large, upright. She could make out a broad shoulder, the slope of a head, covered in dark, matted hair. It was at least 7 feet tall, partially turned away, as if it had just noticed the light. Then her flashlight flickered. The battery was dying. When she got it back on, the figure was gone. Not a branch moved. Not a sound remained. She spent the rest of the night sitting on the floor with a shotgun in her lap. Milo wouldn't go near the door again. From that point on, it came closer. She found snapped branches arranged around the cabin, subtle changes to the woods, pine cones stacked in odd formations. One morning she found fresh soil piled in a mound near her steps, like something had dug and refilled a hole overnight. Still, it never tried to break in, never vocalized, never attacked. It was always just there, observing. She began to believe it wasn't hunting her. It wasn't trying to frighten her. It was territorial, curious. She was the one who had intruded. On October 17th, Elena stopped trying to chase it off. She began leaving food at the edge of the trees, apples, nuts, a chunk of smoked fish. Not as an offering, but as a test. Every time the food was gone by morning. No wrappers, no bite marks, just missing. She wasn't scared anymore, not entirely. The last time she saw it was on October 21st. She was sitting on the porch in the early evening, sketching. The air was still. Milo was calm. She heard movement in the woods, 2 slow steps, then nothing. She didn't go inside. She didn't call out. She just waited. She never saw it emerge, but she could feel it nearby. Not in a supernatural way, just the instinctive awareness of being watched. After several minutes, the presence faded. The woods were quiet again. That night, nothing circled the cabin. No footsteps. No broken branches. The stillness returned. Elena still lives at Shadow Ridge. She hikes the trails now, carefully. The trail cameras are still up. She's never seen the creature again. She doesn't call it Bigfoot. She just calls it what it was, a wild animal. Not friendly, not hostile, just real, curious, dominant. Territory was claimed, territory was respected, and for now, that's enough.
Two girls posted a TikTok video of themselves sneaking onto their university at night to film a dance trend. But the real attention grabber was something lurking in the background. The video, uploaded on TikTok, shows 2 university students performing a viral dance trend in front of the camera. However, if you look closely at the background, you'll notice something eerie. But later, when she was looking through the pictures at home, she spotted something strange. Something that shouldn't have been there. The strangest thing about this photo is that there was no one sitting behind them. Even the person sitting next to them confirmed that they didn't see anyone in that spot. But somehow, a mysterious figure appeared in the picture. A mysterious tall figure is standing in the darkness, staring at them. The girls remain completely unaware of its presence and continue dancing before eventually leaving. What's even creepier is that the figure perfectly matches the description of Slender Man. Honestly, this is about as close as it gets to a genuine Bigfoot sighting. The towering figure wasn't just seen once. It appeared multiple times, from different angles, always keeping to the shadows of that massive tree. It definitely felt like something was watching him. This tractor driver from Colombia claims to have captured an elf child on video, and after watching it, I might just believe him. This eerie footage comes from Candelaria, Valle del Cauca, where a tractor driver, while working in his fields, spotted a strange child standing in the distance. At first glance, the figure looks like an ordinary kid, but as the camera zooms in, its head shape appears oddly elongated, almost elf-like. Not content with just the footage, M.K. Davis returned to the spot and filmed himself next to the fence for comparison. The results are staggering. The creature was easily 4 to 5 feet taller than him. And keep in mind, in the footage, the figure was hunched over while climbing.
It's a dog, isn't it?
Can you hear that growling?
Shit.
Man. Oh my god.
This video comes from the YouTube channel JB Good and was uploaded on September 8th, 2014. It starts off normal, just a group of friends cruising with some music playing. But then, out of nowhere, things take a terrifying turn.
Come on, Si, sing. Woohoo! What?
No, can you not see that?
Oh my god, what is that?
It's a dog, isn't it?
Can you hear that growling?
What the hell was that? That's exactly what they were asking too. The thing looked like some unnatural mix of a bear and a dog, moving in an unnatural way, almost like it was dancing in the glow of their headlights. What he found in that hallway was far worse than anything he expected. A security guard was working the night shift at a hospital, expecting a quiet and uneventful night, just like always. But then, he noticed something strange on the security screen. One of the hallways seemed off. At first, he thought it was nothing, just a glitch or a shadow. But to be sure, he decided to check it out. What he found in that hallway was far worse than anything he expected.
Yeah, I fucking do. No.
The security guard couldn't believe what he was seeing. A wheelchair in the hallway was moving all by itself. There was no wind, no draft, nothing that could explain it. And he swears he was completely alone. It's no surprise that he freaked out. Hospitals are already creepy places, and many people believe the spirits of the dead still roam the halls. So, who's to say this wasn't one of them? Next up, we've got a driver who caught something freaky on camera, straight out of a nightmare you'd never want to have. This footage was recorded by a driver traveling down a dark, empty road at night until something stepped into his path. A bizarre, four-legged creature with a distorted, donkey-like face emerged from the darkness. The uploader claims this is a dire wolf, while some commenters believe it's a dogman. And honestly, looking at it, they might be right. It could be a wolf with a deformed face, or maybe something far worse. But the way it just stands there, staring at the car, like it knows something, that's unsettling. There's something off about it. Like it's not just an animal, but something watching, waiting, with sinister intent. If you think wildfires are always accidents, think again.